Okay, I know what you're thinking. You saw the title and the thumbnail of this video and you're thinking, Kairos, you might be a little bit crazy by suggesting this. But bear with me here because I think that I've got an idea that could really make Brawl Stars even more awesome than it is. And I genuinely think that the reason more people aren't suggesting this is because it doesn't apply to them, because their accounts are maxed out, or because they think that this is not an option on the table. So I'm asking for something a little bit bold because I think that this could genuinely propel Brawl Stars into the next competitive era. Consider this video a sales pitch to the Brawl Stars developers and even maybe a little bit of a dare. It sounds weird to say that. Anyway, Brawl Stars recently released a video titled "This is Not a Roadmap" video. In this video, Frank, the Brawl Stars team lead, talked about some of the aspects about Brawl Stars that the team would like to address in the future with some updates, with a very massive disclaimer that all of these plans that he talked about or problems they want to address are absolutely subject to change and that they may or may not make those changes anytime soon, or maybe not even ever. Genuinely, it was a great video. I think that you guys should watch it. It gives you a good idea of where the Brawl Stars' team's head is at. And if you haven't seen it, like, please go and watch it. It's awesome. There's one aspect that Frank talked about that I'd really like to discuss in that video, and that is ranked. In the video, Frank mentioned that they want to make ranked more appealing for the most competitive players. And I think competitive players is exactly the right term to use here. I don't think that ranked should be a game mode for only the most long-time dedicated players or the biggest spending players. And I'm not even saying that it is right now, but the time or the cost to max, I think, is preventing it from being even more competitive than it is. And Frank said that they would like to involve the community when it comes to the direction they take for ranked. He said they want to hear all of our biggest pain points. And he said that everything is on the table. And I took that literally, which is why my suggestion may sound crazy for Supercell to consider, but I don't actually think it's that crazy. And I actually think that there's a lot of people on the Brawl Stars team that would agree that it's not crazy and that they could do this. I think that after a certain point in ranked, every brawler should be available to play, even if you don't have them unlocked, and every brawler should be completely maxed out with all of their abilities, even if you don't have those brawlers maxed out. That includes gadgets, gears, star powers, hypercharges, buffies, and to be clear, this would only apply while playing ranked, and it would only apply after a certain rank, likely a very high rank. I'll share more specifics later in this video, but I'm thinking that this would be locked behind Masters and Pro rank, which is already incredibly difficult to achieve. I also have other suggestions for how I would like rank to be improved, which I'll talk about later in this video, but I think that's less important because more people are already talking about all those problems. And I'm just genuinely shocked at how few people are actually talking about the pay to win aspects of ranked. And I know that that's a heavy topic or like buzzword kind of a thing, because in a lot of ways, Brawl Stars isn't a pay to win game, but it is still a pay to win game. So if there's anybody on the Brawl Stars team who is watching this video, first of all, I'd like to apologize for how like ridiculously long this video is. I tried to make it shorter. I really did, but I just have so much to say. And this is something that I think needs to be talked about more. And second of all, I'd really just appreciate you just keeping an open mind. I want you to hear me out, and whatever you do, I'm going to agree with and move on. But I think that this should be heavily considered. Also, to the Brawl Stars developers, I know I've talked a lot about in the past about how much of an impact buffies have had on the game's economy. This video is not about that. This is about maximizing competitive integrity in ranked, ideally without sacrificing the awesome gains that buffies brought to the game. Brawl Stars, and for everybody, Brawl Stars has seen massive improved play rates since buffies were released. I know the Brawl Stars team is aware of this. I'm certainly aware of it in my analytics on YouTube, which is awesome. It is proof that the game is better off with buffies. This suggestion that I'm actually bringing up here is something I've been thinking about a lot in the past year as I have played more and more ranked on my free-to-play, on my pay-to-play, even on my main account, and also on my skin locked account, which is a highly restricted account, where my whole goal was to try and push in ranked. And this is a suggestion that I've actually wanted to bring up way before I even ever knew about buffies. And honestly, the reason why I'm bringing it up now is because I feel like now is the right time. It's the time to talk about it. The team is actively discussing ranked based off of their request for feedback in the most recent video that Frank released. And the team asked for the community suggestions on how to improve ranked. So now's the time to talk about it. And I genuinely think this could grow the game to be even bigger than it is now, or at least the competitive side of Brawl Stars. There are 4 major benefits that I see from implementing this change. First, maximizing Brawl's competitive integrity. Second, converting more of the game's players into hardcore competitive players that are less likely to leave the game. Third, getting more players invested into esports and improving the funnel from hardcore to pro player in esports. And then fourth, further boosting community perception around Brawl Stars, and also being an example in the mobile gaming industry of what a truly competitive game is. And perhaps I'm being very naive here, but I think that all of this could be done without negatively impacting revenue in a meaningful way. But let's start off by talking about maximizing competitive integrity. I know that this is something the Brawl Stars team cares about, because they told us that they care about it in the Time to Explain podcast, the most recent one. Around the 2-hour and 4-minute mark in the podcast, they said, and this isn't a direct quote, I am paraphrasing here, but it's an accurate paraphrase, and I'll give some context afterwards. But they said, we think the goal that rank should have is maximum competitive integrity. I took that out of context a bit. When they were talking about maximum competitive integrity, they weren't talking about competitive integrity versus power progression. What they were talking about was how ranked has become more and more accessible, but because it's become more and more accessible, that has actually diminished some of the competitive integrity. They made ranked more for casuals and less of the hardcore players, and sacrificed some aspects of it that had previously made it very highly competitive. So again, they weren't saying maximize competitive integrity versus power progression, but either way, we know that maximum competitive integrity is a defining characteristic that they want ranked to have. And I want them to take it to the next level, to a level that Brawl Stars has never seen. Because in my mind, games that have pay for power mechanics, like Brawl Stars does, don't have maximum competitive integrity. And I'm not saying this in like an emotional way or anything like that. Like, just like logically, if you want to play a game that has maximum competitive integrity, it will be completely fair for all players. That's just how it works. I think of a game like chess, it's completely fair. You don't have to pay for pieces or upgrade pieces or anything like that. It's just like straight up, like, that's maximum competitive integrity. And chess is a game that still has a massive esports following, or it's not called esports. It just has a massive following. What is a game following? What would you call that? Either way, a massive competitive scene. And in order for Brawl Stars to have maximum competitive integrity, it would need to make power completely fair for players in ranked. That's just like a fact. It really is. Maximum competitive integrity means that players are playing on an equal playing field. And we see this within the most popular esports games in the world, in the industry, right? When I think about games that have maximum competitive integrity, I think of popular MOBAs like League of Legends and Dota 2. I think of tactical shooters like Counter-Strike and Valorant. There are battle royales such as Fortnite and PUBG, and there are other games as well like Rocket League, and recently, very interestingly enough, GeoGuessr, right? Now, I don't play all of these games, and I may be wrong about this, but I believe that something all of these games have is that they are monetized via cosmetics and not by power. And there's another thing all of these have in common, and that is that they have massively large esports followings that are bigger than Brawl Stars' esports following. And I think that a big reason for that is competitive integrity. People care about esports when they think that that could be them, right? But when people feel like there are too many stumbling blocks in their way that prevents their skill from actually allowing them to get to that point, that becomes a problem. And that's a reason why they no longer care. I want to give Brawl Stars credit here because they do also have like this tournament level standard impacted into the game when it comes to actually qualifying for the World Championship, when it comes to the the Championship Challenge. In the Championship Challenge, if you have a brawler unlocked, you are able to play the Championship Challenge with all of that, with those brawlers completely maxed out. And I think that that's really awesome. I think that that is one step that helps level the playing field. Additionally, you also have friendly matches where you can actually scrim against other players and get better with all the abilities unlocked if you're able to do that. However, both of these things, they're helpful and they are good. I don't think that they are enough to really propel Brawl Stars into the next competitive era. If Brawl Stars truly wants to have the best and most skilled players in the game reaching the competitive ranked area, those players need a better place to practice, a better place to really hone their skills, get used to all of the brawlers, so that when it comes to competing in these types of esports events where there are actual qualifiers, then they're able to practice outside of those qualifiers and outside of scrims that are very difficult to get into and very difficult to organize. It's just too much of a stumbling block, and I think is preventing them from being able to actually compete, even though they could have the skill and the reflexes to be able to play against some of the best players in the world. This isn't a hit on how free-to-play friendly Brawl Stars is, because Brawl Stars is a very free-to-play friendly game, especially when you consider it being in mobile, right? Out of all of Supercell's fully live games, it is the best game to play for free-to-play players. You can have a ton of fun playing the game for free for a long time and never be bored, and also be able to enjoy a satisfying progression with tons of maxed out brawlers if you just put some time into the account. My free-to-play account is absolutely proof of that. Since I have every single brawler unlocked, I have a large majority of my brawlers maxed out in just 3 years of progress. Now, 3 years of progress is an incredibly long time for a lot of people, let's be honest here, but that's really impressive when you consider the fact that there are over 100 brawlers in the game and they continue to add new brawlers. Another example that is somebody that hasn't played for 3 years is Frank, the Brawl Stars team lead. He actually recently gave us a 5-week recap of his free-to-play account. He's only been playing for 5 weeks on it. It's completely free to play, and it already has 10 maxed out brawlers at power 11 with 39 brawlers unlocked. That's crazy. Once he gets 2 more brawlers to power 11, after just 5 weeks of progression, he'll be able to compete in Mythic and higher in ranked. And he's like 5 weeks of progression. That's crazy. Now, I don't know how many buffies or hypercharges he has on those brawlers. Either way, that is crazy good. Brawl Stars is a great game for free-to-play players. And it's also one thing that I think that Brawl Stars does to take the free-to-play aspect of it a step further than most other games do, is that you get a ton of free cosmetics as a free-to-play player. It's really rare in the industry. Most games, they monetize power and they monetize cosmetics, and you don't get very many good cosmetics. Brawl Stars gives free-to-play players tons of awesome opportunities to be able to get free cosmetics, even hypercharge skins and stuff like that with special events and stuff like that. If you're always actively playing and you're a free-to-play player, you have lots of awesome legendary and hypercharged skins. I know you do, because I have them on my free-to-play account. However, I do think that the cost to max an account is too high for Brawl Stars to be considered a game with maximum competitive integrity in ranked. I just genuinely do. This isn't like a slam on Brawl Stars or anything like that. I just view that as a fact. And when I say the costs, I mean the amount of time or the money that it takes to have an account that can be equally competitive against players who have spent more time and more money on the game. Now, there's a lot of actually benefits to Brawl Stars having a deep progression experience. That's not what I'm hitting on here. I'm fine with Brawl Stars' deep progression experience, but I think Brawl Stars has a lot to gain from increasing the competitive integrity of the game. In the most recent Time to Explain podcast, Brawl Stars' team said that you can play at the highest level with dozens of brawlers if you are skilled with those brawlers. I believe that that is incorrect, or at least not looking at the whole picture. That statement is true if you are looking at any single point in time. Even pro players only play with a handful of brawlers at any given time. But as the meta changes, the handful of brawlers that the pro players play changes as well. They stop playing brawlers who underperform. They swap them out with brawlers who overperform. That may be new brawlers, it may be recently buffed brawlers, it may be brawlers with new strong abilities, or other brawlers that are just generally better than average in the current meta. They also play super niche brawlers that aren't super strong overall, but that are really good on very specific maps and work well with specific team comps or to counter specific brawlers. This is really easy for them to do because they're playing on maxed out accounts with spare resources to upgrade and unlock new brawlers and abilities. Most players don't have that luxury. By the time most players are able to max out the best brawlers in the game or buy the newest, strongest abilities, those brawlers and those abilities are likely to get nerfed or replaced by other brawlers and abilities faster than those players can upgrade them. And I know that I said that this video isn't about buffies, and it's not, but this is especially true now with the addition of buffies, because free-to-play players now have to choose between unlocking buffies or upgrading new and existing brawlers, because there aren't enough power points in the free-to-play economy to do both at the rate that new brawlers and buffies are being released. So unless you spend money on the game, it makes it really hard to compete in a meta that is always changing. I'm not saying that you can't compete as a free-to-play player if you're skilled enough, because you absolutely can, even with this disadvantage. But I think it is a very fair argument that it is significantly harder for new or free-to-play players to compete than it is for spending and long-time players who have more competitive options. And I don't want to diminish that aspect of the game. I think that the players who have been playing for longer and who are spending more money on the game should be rewarded. And I actually don't see this as being a problem in most parts of Brawl Stars. Pushing ladder, playing community events, there's a lot of different aspects of Brawl Stars where spending money on the game and having a long-term dedicated account that you've just played for years maxed out, I think that's really awesome and really fun. And to be fair, all esports matches do happen in friendly matches where brawlers are completely maxed out if you have the brawler unlocked. But there's just so much of a massive gap between players playing in ranked, where they should be trying to hone their skills and trying to be able to get to the point where they can play in esports, and actually participating in esports. To use game development terms here, when it comes to ranked, horizontal progression matters a lot, meaning that the more max brawlers that you have, the more of an advantage you will have against equally skilled players. It's just as simple as that. Horizontal power is power in Brawl Stars, and in ranked, where you have a draft, a ban, and a draft format, max out brawler choice plays a big factor. And in my opinion, this causes some unwanted problems. It's a massive hurdle that prevents players from even ever really wanting to try and push in ranked, because they know that if they don't have the strongest brawlers and abilities, which more oftentimes than not are the newest abilities and newest brawlers, they will be at a massive disadvantage. And it's not fun to play in ranked. And it is a massive pain point in ranked for a ton of players. So much so that I'm really kind of floored at how few people are actually suggesting this type of feedback. And I genuinely think the reason why people aren't is because the people who care most about ranked are the people who have been able to play ranked with maxed out accounts. Like, I think that this is a self-perpetuating problem where people don't care about ranked because they feel like it's not for them, because they can't play at a competitive level. And maybe that's because they don't feel like they're actually skilled enough, but I do think that the power progression actually does have a massive impact on that. And I think that this is a stumbling block that is preventing more Brawl Stars players from converting to become more hardcore, more dedicated players and joining the funnel into the esports scene of things. Have you guys noticed how like most of the pro players that are playing on the world stage every year are like the same players? We do see new players, and there are people that get rotated in and out, and that problem is actually much more of a bigger problem than power progression is. But anyway, we'll talk about that a little bit later in the video. I think that if every brawler were available and completely maxed out after reaching masters and ranked, I think that it would become incredibly motivating for more players to try and push to that point so that they can play with all the brawlers and everything, you know, within ranked, and then improve their skills while playing in masters so that they can try and go for the pro ranked. And this has a myriad of benefits. This isn't just good for those players, it's also good for the people who are actively playing ranked, because that increases the competitive nature of the mode, it increases the amount of people who are playing, and it gives people a lot more of a chance to play against other equally skilled players that have the reflexes and have the skill to be able to really compete. This is better for everybody. But I think at their heart, competitive players want to play against the most competitive players, the people who are like the most skilled. They want competition to get more intense because they're competitive people. They want to play against the best. Maybe not all of them, and maybe I'm being naive, but that's how I feel. And I'm not even a competitive player. Talk about a massive motivation for anyone skilled enough to get to Masters for the first time, right? There's no more excuses. It's no longer about like not having maxed out brawlers. It's just about skill and lag and bad randoms. That's all it is. And how awesome of a talking point is that when discussing Brawl Stars with your friends and talking about esports? Instead of like recommending the game to your friend and saying something like, oh yeah, it's a really fun game. You know, don't get too serious about like being competitive unless you're willing to spend money. It turns the conversation into, yeah, dude, and if you get good enough at the game, you get to play with every brawler maxed out in ranked, which is sick. And people are like, wait, for real? Every single brawler? There's over 100 brawlers. That's crazy talk. Yeah, man. Yeah, sick. And the thing is most players will never reach that point. And that makes it even more of an awesome change because it makes it feel like the game is even more worth sharing because that's a huge selling point. But 99.9% of players will never do it. So it's a benefit for all without actually sacrificing the game for very many at all. It's becoming really clear to me that more and more players are becoming frustrated with the mobile gaming industry. It's just a sad truth of it. Like, and you talk to like PC gamers and console gamers, they think the mobile gaming industry is a joke. People who are watching this video, you know that that's not true. You know that there's a lot of awesome mobile games out there that really are competitive and are awesome. And I think that more needs to be done within the mobile gaming industry to show that, hey, we can make truly competitive games that are awesome. And I know that Supercell is aware of this because Ilka, CEO or the CEO of Supercell, wrote about this in his latest newsletter under the section titled "Not an Industry Thriving, an Industry Coasting." And I'm not going to read through all the quotes there, but I think it's a really excellent thing that drives the point home. More and more players are hungry for truly competitively viable games that reward their dedicated players with maximum competitive integrity. He didn't talk about maximum competitive integrity in his news post, but I think that a lot of people watching this video will agree that that is an element that makes people not appreciate the mobile gaming industry. It's an industry that is coasting and is not one that is thriving. We need more games where there are no excuses except for lag and bad randoms, and players are hungry for games where skill triumphs over progression. And I genuinely think that this would put Brawl Stars on the map for a lot of people who would otherwise consider, or who would otherwise not consider playing it or sharing it. And this isn't about free-to-play players. This isn't about monetization. This isn't about having a long-term satisfying progression. This is a massive problem for new players and spending players as well. I think it's even a massive problem for esports, okay? Let's just give an example here. Let's imagine for a moment that a potential Brawl Stars world champion downloaded Brawl Stars today. And by potential world champion, I mean somebody who has the reflexes, they have the smarts to become a future world champion at Brawl Stars as long as they put in their time to reach their maximum potential. But they only just downloaded Brawl Stars today in this hypothetical situation. Even if they spend $255 a year to buy a Brawl Pass Plus every month and the Pro Pass every 3 months, they are not going to have a competitively viable account anytime soon. Not when we've got over 100 brawlers in the game with new brawlers every month and 18 buffies entering the game every 2 months. And $255 US, even if it's, I mean, that's a lot of money to put into a game. Even if I do think that the Brawl Pass Plus and the Pro Pass are really great value compared to how a lot of games are monetized, that's a lot of money to put into a game. Even if it's the only game you play for a whole year, most people can't justify that. And like, that's just understandable. And I mentioned the Brawl Pass Plus and the Pro Pass because they are just like the best value that you can spend in the game. And anything less than that is just prohibitively expensive for most people. Circling back to our hypothetical situation where we have a potential Brawl Stars world champion, they could have the skill to be the #1 in the world, but even spending that $255 to become, to pay for the Brawl Pass Plus and the Pro Pass for a year, that's not even enough money to compete at the highest level. And that's after a whole year of playing the game. And yes, it usually takes longer than a year of somebody playing a game to become a pro, but we're talking about like somebody who's just like built for the game. Their mind just works for the game. They download it for the first time and it's like, holy crap, I'm amazing at this game. Like, you see what I'm saying? This is a massive problem. This theoretical potential Brawl Stars world champion would likely have to spend thousands if they wanted a truly competitively viable account that could keep up with an ever-shifting meta anytime quickly. And let's just be real here. The chances of a future world champion being at an age or a position where they have thousands to spend on a mobile game, it's just unrealistic. Chances are that this potential world champion would be a teenager with parents who are unable or unwilling to make that happen. And yes, they could do friendly scrims with other players in order to have access to all of the abilities, but that's a big barrier to overcome, especially when ranked would be just such a better and more effective place to get players to get better at the game. And now there is an argument like, oh, well, if you want to be the best player in the game, you have to invest a little bit of money and time into actually into the hobby, right? I get that argument. I don't think it's a great argument. I really don't. I think Brawl Stars should be doing the absolute best that it can to try and foster a healthy and developing and growing esports scene. And it is already a massive cost for players to just spend the time to gain the skills to be able to compete at that level. Time is a massive barrier to overcome for pro players, and Supercell can't really do anything about that for their players. But they can do something about giving players an opportunity for them to really truly get better at the game at the competitive level, playing against the best players in the world by removing a pay gap or a paywall. Paywall sounds harsh because it's not really like a paywall, but it is a hurdle for players to overcome. That is one thing that Brawl Stars can do to truly foster an even more competitive meta. In my opinion, this is a massive problem that the Brawl Stars developers want to help more players transition to the competitive scene, which I know is a priority for them, since I know how much they care about esports. And there are just so many different hurdles to try and overcome for players to try and get into esports. Monetization is just one part of it. Another massive barrier is that pro players only want to play against the best players in the world because that's the best way for them to actually get better. And what this does, and this is a big problem that I don't know how Brawl Stars could overcome this and improve it, but what this does is it leads to pro players only scrimming against other established pro players. And this is actually why a lot of pro players don't actually play ladder and don't actually play ranked, because playing ladder and ranked usually makes them worse because they're playing against players that don't keep them on their toes the whole time, because ladder and ranked just don't offer the same opportunity to improve as friendly scrims and matches and stuff like that. It's so incredibly hard for new players to gain access to those scrims. It's so hard, which means that they don't get many opportunities to play against players who are better than they are, which means that they don't get much better. They don't reach that competitive pro level. And the only place for them to really reach to gain practice is in qualifiers to actually qualify for a world championship, right? That's the only place they get to play against these pro players if they've reached that level. And even then, they only get to play a few matches. It's not enough time for them to be able to really gain their skills. And that's why, and this is a problem that I would love if ranked became the solution, where ranked is where pro players wanted to go, because that's where they were going to be facing off against the most skilled players in the world. And ranked is only ever going to become that place if more and more players are playing ranked that are truly competitive and have the skills to be able to do so. And removing a stumbling block, I think, is going to help with that. That would be my hope for ranked, because I think it would be a great way to help more players transition to the pro level. I don't know how effectively that barrier of entry can be removed, like the scrims aspect of it. I don't know, but I do know that the monetization barrier for truly skilled players is something that can be done and can help. What I don't want Brawl Stars to do is do the opposite, where they make ranked kind of like a walled garden kind of a thing, where you can only get in if you're already good enough. And once you get in there, it's awesome and it's great. And it's just all the best players playing against each other. There needs to be a really good transition to there. And ranked has to be excellent. But I think that in order for ranked to be truly excellent for the competitive players who care about ranked, there needs to be a better funnel to get there, because otherwise it's just going to be the same players playing against each other forever until they get bored and stop playing ranked. Maximum competitive integrity in ranked is not Brawl Stars' only goal. I don't think Brawl Stars is going to make that happen for every player, right? Including brand new players who just unlocked ranked. And I don't even know that I would want them to do that. I actually don't know that it would be smart. I mean, they could do what League of Legends does and Mobile Legends Bang Bang does, and a lot of these competitive esports games do, where once you unlock a brawler, then it's maxed out in ranked. That could be really interesting. But that could also be really overwhelming to new players. Imagine you just unlocked ranked for the very first time. You're a brand new player. You have 10 brawlers unlocked. you know, maybe you have one Buffy. Maybe you have a couple of hypercharges. Maybe you have a few gadgets and star powers, right? And then you go from playing, you go into ranked for the first time, and all of a sudden you have 100 brawlers available to you. They all have gadgets and star powers that you don't know what they do. Even the brawlers that you have currently unlocked have abilities that you don't know what they do. And so you're just like tapping stuff. And, you know, maybe, I don't know. But like when every brawler has 2 gadgets, 2 star powers, 5 gears to choose from, not to mention buffies that change the way the gadgets and star powers and hypercharges actually work, like that's confusing. And I could see that making that happen could undermine Brawl Stars' goals of, you know, making things less overwhelming. Like we want people to be able to jump into ranked, but we want it to not be incredibly overwhelming for new players. There has to be like a nice ease in my opinion. And let's be honest here, that could undermine Brawl Stars' financial goals. Let's just be honest here. Supercell is a for-profit company. They want to make great games, but they also want to make money making great games. I don't even expect them to do anything differently. I don't want them to make the game for free. I don't want them to give me everything for free. I don't expect that. I don't think that would be particularly good for the game. I think that would lead to Brawl Stars being able to spend a lot less money making Brawl Stars awesome and spend a lot less money making new awesome games. And I love supporting games that I play by spending money on them. And I've spent a lot of money on games. And honestly, to everyone watching this video right now, I would encourage you to do the same. Support the games that you love and the games that you are playing a lot of or spending a lot of time on. If you can afford to do so, and if you feel like those games will give you the value that you deserve for spending money on the game. If you play Brawl Stars every day or close to it like I do, the Brawl Pass Plus offers amazing value in my opinion. I'm just going to be honest here. I have an incentive to try and tell you that, because if you spend money on the game and you use code Kairos in the Brawl Stars shop, I get a cutback of that. Or even if you use code Kairos on the Supercell store, that's even better for me. I get an even bigger cutback for that. Clearly, I have an incentive to encourage more spending in Brawl Stars because I have a creator code. This isn't about Brawl Stars monetizing the game. This is about Brawl Stars maximizing competitive integrity and improving its shareability without sacrificing the game's other goals. So I've talked about all of the why. Let's talk about the how. Here is my suggestion. I love that Brawl Stars makes 3 brawlers maxed out available to all players throughout the game. I think that's really awesome. Honestly, I think it would be cool if they improved that and added even more. This is actually something that they do in League of Legends. This is pulling back from my memory like 15 years ago when I played League of Legends. But I believe that what they had is they had like a rotating roster, and you could always choose that rotating roster, and that gave players like a good transition into it. And I believe that they had like 6 free champions, maybe it was 12 free champions. Let me look really fast. So there are 172 playable champions in League of Legends, and that it offers a weekly rotation of over 10 to 17 champions in their ranked area for players to play. So yeah, anyway, but I don't even know that you should start that out. A brand new player entering into bronze, I think that 3 brawlers maxed out is awesome. I love that. And I don't think that really has to change. Maybe as you go from bronze to silver, then you unlock another one. And then from silver to gold, then you unlock a 5th brawler to play for free. And that goes up to mythic or something like that. But even if it doesn't really change right now, I don't think that it needs a whole lot of changes. I also think the restrictions to require players to upgrade their brawlers up to like power 9 to be able to play them in diamond is really good for the game, because it just gives people an opportunity to be able to play the brawlers they actually know, and prevents everybody else from having to play those brawlers that are just like people picking power 1 brawlers and ranked was a thing at one point. That was dumb. I didn't like that. And so I think that up to diamond, that makes sense. And I also think that you would need 12 brawlers at power 11 to play in mythic or higher, just like you do right now. I do think that if you gave 6 brawlers for free to everybody, that would lower that requirement so that fewer people would actually hit that weird, awkward moment where they actually reach mythic and can no longer play ranked and can no longer earn pro pass XP because they don't have brawlers maxed out, or because they have spent their power points like evenly across all of their brawlers. Right, that is a thing that people do. I know that most players don't actually ever reach that point where they're good enough, but they are and are then limited by their brawler roster. But I do see posts about that in the competitive subreddit in Brawl Stars, and I know that does impact people, and it's really awkward. It's really weird. I think decreasing that in some way would be way better for a lot of people. But also, this would give players a reason to upgrade brawlers, improve their skills, while also saving us from those players who are determined to throw by picking under-leveled brawlers. That was just obnoxious when that was a possibility. So, like, not a whole lot has to change, but I think there was improvements that could be made up to Legendary. But when Legendary happens, when you hit Legendary, I think that's when the competition should heat up. In Legendary, I think that if you have a brawler unlocked, that brawler should be completely maxed out and ranked, even if they're power 1 outside of ranked. Every gear, every star power, every gadget, every buffy is unlocked and available to play, but only inside ranked. The only 2 requirements being you have to be in Legendary or higher, and you have to have the brawler unlocked in the first place. This is important because it gives a good transition into making it so that like people aren't just picking the random brawler that they want to play. They still have to upgrade, they still have to unlock the brawlers that they want to play, and Legendary doesn't just become a playground for people to just play whatever brawler they don't have, because I think that would actually diminish the competitive integrity in Legendary, because literally people will just go there and like be like, I've never unlocked Sirius, I've never played Sirius, I want to play Sirius, so I'll just play Sirius because he's available to me now, even though I suck with him. That's not the point. The point is for them to pick the best brawlers, and this also encourages people to unlock the newest and strongest brawlers, which actually incentivizes buying the Brawl Pass Plus, because aside from gemming brawlers, the brawler vault keys are the only way to choose to unlock a brawler who is far along the star road for new players. If a new player wants to play Nausea, the newest brawler, they're never going to be able to unlock Nausea unless they just save up the gems specifically for Nausea, which people can do, but that's really not the best way for you to spend your gems. And so all of a sudden buying the Pro Pass Plus, the Brawl Pass Plus makes a lot of sense. This would also significantly heat up the competition in Legendary, while also helping skilled players make the transition from really good to the more competitive scene. They have all of the buffies available to them. They have all of the brawlers available to them that they've unlocked, which means that drafting and banning becomes significantly more impactful and much more rewarded. Oh man, I'm just like getting excited thinking about this. Like the more I think about it, I'm like, holy cow, this would be so fun. And that's like so awesome and would just make Legendary so much more fun. Still have to unlock the brawlers and everything like that. However, it took me 2 years to unlock every brawler as a free-to-play player. That's still a long time, and I do think that that is still a stumbling block that should be removed for the players who are really able to who are just like so crazy good at the game that they have what it takes to potentially reach like a competitive level. So that's why in Masters and Pro rank, I think things should be taken a step further. I think if a player reaches Masters and Pro ranked, then Supercell should be doing everything they can to give those players every opportunity to try and become better at the game and reach that pro level. I really do. So at Masters and Pro ranked, all brawlers would be maxed out. All brawlers would be available to play, even if you don't have them unlocked. This would further increase the competitive integrity of ranked by leveling the playing field across all types of players, whether they are new or spending or have or are free to play or long-time players. Everybody's on the equal playing field, and ranked truly becomes about competitive integrity. The best players are the ones who play, and the best ones are the ones who win. I don't think that this would impact Brawl Stars' revenue very much. I don't know how much of an impact it would have. I don't have that kind of insight. I don't have that data. And I know that the game does lose some appeal for players once they have a maxed out account to play with. And there would be a non-zero number of people who might get bored once they have every brawler maxed out in ranked. That would happen. Some players would stop playing, but I don't think it's very many players. And I think the game has way more to gain by doing this than they have to lose. And I actually don't think that this would have too much of a negative impact. I don't know how many players are able to reach Masters or higher these days. I've seen stats in the past, but who knows what it is today. I'm confident in saying that it is less than 1% of all players. It's probably less than 0.1% of all players. It's probably a few hundredths of a percent of all players. Masters is really hard to reach. If I'm right, Brawl Stars' competitive integrity would be maximized with these suggestions without too much of a negative impact on retention and growth. this change would impact less than 1% of players, but it becomes a selling point for 100% of players. And those players skilled enough to reach Masters are the most hardcore players the game has, and are also the least likely people to quit the game either way. Most of them that are playing at that competitive level already actually do have maxed out accounts or near maxed out accounts, either because that's just how much time it takes for them to get good, or because they're the most dedicated and they're the ones that are actually spending money on the game, or maybe because ranked really is a pay to win, like has a massive pay to win aspect, and that's too much of an element for other people to get into. I don't know. But like most players, and I think that this is why most people aren't actually like suggesting this change, is because the people who care about ranked are the ones that already don't have this limitation. Players would still have to unlock and upgrade their brawlers in order to play outside of ranked. And there is a ton to do outside of ranked. Between prestige and other rewards, there's special events where power would still impact things. You still have to complete your quests. You still have to complete, earn progression within the Brawl Pass. You have to do a lot of things in the game outside of ranked. And so there's still a massive reason for you to upgrade your brawlers. And it may even be a motivator, because like some people might be like, man, I really like playing this brawler in ranked and I don't have that brawler, or I don't have that brawler unlocked. So I really like, I need to buy the Brawl Pass so that I can upgrade them and play them in ladder, because that was really fun playing that brawler in ranked. I think I could play, like that would be really fun. I want to do that, where I can just play that brawler every single time on this one map where I know that they're really good. It's a big matter. It's a motivation for a lot of people to be able to be like, oh, I played with that brawler. I know it. And I know that this is motivation, because as somebody who has several accounts that are maxed out, but plays on several accounts that are not maxed out, I'm very frequently like, man, I just want this brawler maxed out so bad so that I can play them. I want this ability. Give me this specific gadget. Like, it is a motivation for me. It really genuinely is. And I think that there are still plenty of other reasons to upgrade brawlers and spend money on the game. Holy cow. Okay, I've still talked about this so much. There's still so many things to talk about with ranked, and a lot of other people have been giving really excellent feedback that I agree with. But let me talk about my other suggestions for ranked. With 100+ brawlers in the game, I think the draft and the ban part of ranked could really be improved. I would love it if they could improve or increase the number of bans that you have with your rank. I think that 1 ban is fine up through mythic. I think that legendary should have 2 bans for every player, and I think that 3 bans for every player in Masters makes sense. That would be potentially 18 brawlers being banned a match. And I know that sounds like a lot, and maybe that's too tedious, I don't know, but like, with the meta always changing and everything, and like OP new abilities, and like I just want ranked to become the most competitive place, and I love the idea of banning stuff. But the problem is with adding 3 bans for every single player is that sometimes people will just leave the ban draft phase early enough, or like if they see a specific brawler getting banned or whatever, they'll just be more likely to leave, and I understand that. However, I actually think that more should be done to punish players who actually leave during the ban and draft process. I think that should be a part of the competitive aspect of the game, because it is at the pro level, and I think that people that leave during that should have some repercussions. I think it's not cool, and I think it is incredibly frustrating when I know that I've done a really good ban and draft and the other team just leaves. It's super dumb. It's super frustrating, because I feel like there are some times when I'm just like, oh, man, I've got this in the bag. We're going to win this match. And then boom, they leave, and it's like, it's so frustrating. I would also really love an ability to search for a brawler in the draft selection. I don't know if they add like a little alphabetical thing where you can just go and like scroll really quickly, but having 2 brawlers and scrolling horizontally for forever is really tricky. I love that they've added alphabetical sorting. I've loved that they've allowed you to favorite brawlers. I think those are really great, but I think that it needs to be easier for you to be able to find the brawler that you ban and play or draft. And I think some improvements could also be made when it comes to the rank reset. I don't know the best way to handle the rank reset. I do think the ranked does need some sort of a reset, but I personally wish the reset was way less harsh, or there was more time for the seasons, gave more time to climb up in the ranks. Currently, you have to be either incredibly skilled if you want to push to Masters or Pro ranked, or you have to play ranked like it is a full-time job. It just takes way too much time for someone like me, who only wants to play maybe an hour, maybe 2 hours a day, but still wants the excitement of being able to play ranked. I don't know what the absolute pro players would want, but I'd personally love more time playing at a high rank and less time trying to climb up to a high rank. I also have concerns, some concerns with the way that the Brawl Stars team has been talking about how they want to improve ranked. They said they want to maximize competitive integrity in ranked, even if it sacrifices accessibility. The thing is though, is I don't want them to decrease the accessibility of ranked. I want them to increase the accessibility of ranked where it matters. Because for me, I feel like that is the best way to get more players skilled in ranked and to increase the player pool in ranked to make ranked even more competitive, to make ranked more fun for the competitive players. I think that the Brawl Stars team wants this as well, but the way that they've talked about it has just made me a little bit worried. I would love for improvements to make ranked more competitive for the players who love ranked. I would also want ranked to feel worthwhile to push to every other day person. Because for me, as somebody who likes to play games competitively, even if I'm not the most competitive or the most skilled at the game, I like that. I like that element of being able to like try and get better. And I think that's really fun and satisfying for a lot of people and is very motivating for people to continue to want to play the game. And I think that people want to care about ranked, and I want them to care about ranked. I want ranked to feel rewarding to play. I want it to feel exciting to play ranked because it celebrates skill and encourages players to get better at the game. I agree that ranked isn't as great as it could be. And I also agree that what really does matter is like the very competitive aspect of ranked. But I think that the current system for ranked is probably the best for as many people as possible, and I like that. I don't want ranked to feel overly punishing to casual players. I want it to feel competitive for hardcore players, and I genuinely love playing ranked. I've really enjoyed playing ranked this last year, and I find playing ranked to be more fun to play when more people care about playing ranked than just the hardcores. I really feel that way. And I think that even the hardcores genuinely only really want to play ranked when reaching a high rank actually means something to the casual player. I think that like pushing to the highest rank and telling your friends, dude, I reach masters. If people are like, oh yeah, I don't really play ranked, I don't really know what that means, I think it's really demotivating. I think what's more instead exciting is people being like, holy crap, how the heck did you reach masters? That's insane. I can't even get to legendary, you know? Like that is even more motivation for people to play ranked. I don't know. And I will say, I agree that prioritizing the hardcores makes sense for ranked, but I just hope that the team can come up with solutions that doesn't make ranked completely worse for everyone else. I do want them to maximize competitive integrity. I don't want them to decrease accessibility too much. Holy crap, that was a long video. Let me know what you guys think about this in the comment section below. And also make sure you use hashtag Taffy in the comment section so I know you watched the video, because that means to me that you also care about this and have heard all my opinions, especially if you disagree with me. If you disagree with me, use hashtag Taffy so I know you watched it. Oh my gosh, I love saltwater taffy so much. My wife gave this to me for Christmas, a big bag of them with like tons of different flavors. Oh, it's really good. Anyway, I want to thank all of you guys for watching, and to the Brawl Stars team, if you're watching and you're still watching, I really appreciate you guys taking the time to consider my thoughts of just myself, my community, and everybody else. We really love your game. I genuinely think it's one of the best ones. And I know you guys agree with me though. You think that the game could be better as well. And this is one way that I think the game could be better, by truly maximizing competitive integrity and rank. Thanks so much for listening. This taffy's so good. Subscribe for more videos. Here's more videos you can just watch right there. We'll see you guys in the next one.